Hello, everybody. Welcome to the sixth episode of the Idle Park Talk Show. Today, we have a very good friend of the show who is a wife, a mother, a teacher, an author, and a philanthropist. She has an interest in special needs. To help us have this conversation, please welcome Zita Tangwa Ndieshe. Welcome, Zita.
Thank you, Rodrigue and Chief Asong. Thank you for having me here.
How are you doing today?
I am awesome, especially with the warm weather.
Oh, yeah.
I feel great, better than I deserve. Thank you.
Good. Long drive, though, to come here.
Yeah, end to end. But,
End to end, considering where you live in the city. So we really
Right.
appreciate that you were able to make time on such short notice to be with us today. So thank you again.
No problem.
Before I start, I'd like to congratulate you on your new book. And I guess following up on that, I would ask you, when did you know that you had a book in your hands?
Actually, I never thought that I could put words together into a book until in one of the shows, one Cameroonian lady, Belinda Asachop, she's a transformational coach based here in Calgary. She invited me to one of her shows, and that stemmed from my experiences as an educator. When I went into the educational system, I realized that there's a lot that coming from Cameroon, and as a parent, there's a lot that I did not get the grasp of. And I am very big in education. I'm very big in helping kids succeed.
Right.
So when I became an educator, I realized that there's a lot that we are not doing to help our kids succeed. And then I decided to go around. I think my first outing was in ACAM, where I did a presentation about how parents can help their kids succeed in the educational milieu. And I went to about 3 or 4 other associations based here in Calgary to share this information. And based on that, Belinda now wanted me to talk to a larger audience. And so she invited me to her talk show. And one parent called in and she asked if I have anything to say that can also help parents with special needs
Yeah.
kids. I will call them specially abled kids.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, that's my niche. I'm actually a special needs teacher. And so I gave her right off the bat a lot of strategies that she can employ at home to actually help her daughter. And after that, Belinda was like, wow, Zita, you sounded so knowledgeable. Do you think you can write a book? And I'm like, oh, no. I don't know anything about writing books. She said, I can
Right.
help you. There's someone who can coach you
Yeah.
to actually write this. I think you have a lot of ideas that people need
Right.
to know. And then I said, okay. But prior to that, I had been thinking, because I come from a family of 9 siblings.
Yeah.
My first sister is a medical doctor based in Uganda. They are missionaries. And she had a daughter with Down syndrome. And she had to give up her job to take care of her daughter because there were no resources in Africa to take care of kids with special needs. And she faced so many challenges
Right.
that even after her daughter passed 3 years ago, we were just doing her memorial last week, she has not been able to bounce back because it was like such a traumatic experience, but very enriching in another
Yeah.
way, that she just decided to stay in that place.
Right.
And we don't want this to happen to any other woman. We want, and it's always the moms, unfortunately.
Yeah. We're gonna get into that.
Yeah. So that is why you see the title of my book is directed mostly to moms.
Moms,
Doesn't
yeah.
mean that the dad do not do
Yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Please don't
definitely.
come at me. But the moms bear the brunt of it.
Yeah.
And so they need more of their advice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Many people would say, I would say too, that writing and publishing a book is a very grueling, it's a process, I would say.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, what does it take to start a book and to get through to publishing? What does it take? What did it take you to get to this place?
Okay. I am big on journaling. That's why you see me with this.
Yeah.
So I journal every day. I write a lot of things. But putting that together and actually taking it to the publishing stage, I would say I wouldn't have succeeded without the assistance of a coach.
Right.
Okay.
So when Belinda connected me to Dr. Mbonya, shout out to him. He is awesome. He coaches authors,
Yeah.
people who are interested in writing books, and he has a tested and true method that really works.
Yeah.
Like after that, I have been writing my second book already, and my goal is to publish it by December.
Yeah.
But I am employing some of the strategies that he told me, but I am stalling.
Yeah.
And that tells me you need someone that will give you that push
Yeah.
to always keep going. So I would say for starters, who are not used to writing books, who have never wrote a book, it's good to get someone who will give you that push, who will give you that motivation
Yeah.
for you to take it to completion. Because there's one thing having an idea, there's another thing taking action,
Right.
there's another thing taking it to completion.
Yeah, exactly.
I would recommend a coach for anyone who wants to start.
Well, coaches would certainly kind of hold you accountable and remind you of the timelines and all that.
Yeah.
Is that part of what a coach would do, or would it just be, hey, you need to get on and you need to get the book going?
They hit you in the bum, like, hey, Kale, get up.
Sure. So for Dr. Mbunya, you have to write your book and publish it in 9 weeks.
Oh boy.
Okay.
He gives you a very rigid timeline.
Yeah.
And from the start, he gets you to break up your work into chunks that will be completed in the 9 weeks time.
Right.
And when you're writing, he also gives you a lot of strategies that you can employ. And you can employ it in every other aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Like when I'm writing, I have to set a timer for 2 hours and engage all my creative abilities
In that period
into
of time, right.
writing. And it was very productive.
Right.
And I'm using it now. Like I have 1 week now to be done with my report cards.
Yeah.
This is crunch time for teachers.
Yeah.
And I just set my timer and I get on my laptop
Yeah.
and I get my work going. So he has very good strategies that if you employ,
Right.
they are transferable too,
Right.
and they work out well.
So more like have a plan, strategy, stick to it, dedicate time to achieving that goal and actually go ahead to focus on it.
Right, take action.
Yeah.
9 weeks. So that's you're telling me you kind of put together everything you had to the point to take it to a publisher in 9 weeks.
You know what?
Is that
It was
realistic?
done. It is.
Yeah.
I was done, and thank God, it's a fallout of the pandemic because everybody is saying, "Oh, COVID-19."
Right.
There's really nothing that comes out of it.
Yeah.
But I had that advantage of time
Mhm.
because
Right.
we were homebound.
Yeah.
So I had time on my hands
Yes.
to actually do it.
Yeah.
I was done in 9 weeks. You know what kept me longer?
Mm.
You know, when we are growing up, the things that people tell you, they leave a lasting impression in your subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And when this book came back, when the first draft came back from the editor, and he actually forwarded the message from the editor to me, and the editor said, "Is she writing for the first time because she's 95% perfect?" I'm like, no way, because we come from that system where you think you're not enough.
Right.
And apart from the fact that we grew up in a way that my dad will push you beyond your limits, which is a good thing, but that gave us a kind of competitive edge, which is more negative than positive.
Yeah.
That you always want to feel like I have to be this way to be better than this or that person. And that is what kept me back a little, because I'm like, I thought I was not good enough, that the work was not good enough.
Yeah.
But one day I just got up and told myself, Zita, man up, woman up. You have done a good job.
Yeah.
You have put in your story. You have a very compelling story in this book.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
And just let it go and see what happens. And I want to tell you, it has been life-changing.
Yeah.
Since I published this book,
That's good.
my life has been, like, I have witnessed a 180 degrees
Yeah.
change in my life.
Yeah. Interesting. You want to talk about the little girl from Bambly, Bamenda. I think you have that in your bibliography. The little girl from Bambly in Bamenda who grew up, did she ever dream that she was going to be an author one day?
Growing up, okay, in my family, I am a twin.
Oh,
So that means every child, when you grow up, you have that personal experience with your mom.
right.
You get all the love showered on you. But I had to share that with someone.
Yeah.
So growing up, I thought I didn't get enough.
Same here. I'm a twin too, so I know how you feel.
Good.
Right.
See, you relate. So I always thought I needed more out of life.
Right.
And that is it now I see that it came from a place of pain, but I have tapped into that,
Right.
and that has somehow energized me, because I went back and looked at what my parents had to go through to raise us,
Right.
and all that blame just melted,
Right.
and I now saw reality. And
Right.
even after being a parent myself,
Right.
so growing up, I have been a fighter.
No.
Like, I was 7 months old when I was born. I had to stay. I weighed 1.2 kilograms.
Yeah.
I had to stay in the incubator for about 2 months. The nurses told my mom I was not going to survive. My
Right.
twin sister had normal weight
Yeah.
for a twin, but I was the one that was a little too small.
Yeah.
So I think that is when I developed my fighting spirit, because I think I heard when they said you're not going to make it, and I'm like, catch me if you can.
Yeah.
So I had that fighting spirit. And I remember when I was in like Form 2 in Lords, we
Yeah.
used to have cultural week.
Oh, lessons. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. So we'll have cultural week, and there will be debates. Like, you have ex-students, university students from Nigeria, like your cousin, Dr. Alonja.
Yeah.
From Nigeria, you have those from Uni Yao, and we'll have students night, and there'll be a debate.
Right.
And these university students will be debating, and I'm like, oh, can I join you guys? And they would look at me and like, this little kid, I'm like, and I will go up there and I will nail it.
Yeah.
So, but afterwards, growing up, life happens. I now went back into my shell and thought I was unable to do these things. But
Yeah.
I just tapped into that childlike confidence that I
Right.
had, and I just said, fuck you. I will do whatever I need to do to make sure that I bring out who I am,
Right.
so that I can be able
Yeah.
to live to the fullest of my potential.
Right.
I'm sorry about the language.
Yeah, that's okay.
One of the many things that you've put out is your book. It's titled Unwrapping the Gift. What does it mean to you? And what message did you want to pass across to your readers just from picking up the book and looking at the title?
So Unwrapping the Gift is like, every child is a gift.
Yeah.
And it takes effort, like with every gift that you receive, to unwrap that gift. And I realized from my sister's experience, this book actually chronicles the story of Lydia, my niece, who was diagnosed with Down syndrome. And I realized how difficult it was for her parents and the family as a whole to navigate raising her with her disability because of the lack of resources in Africa. So I wanted to bring out the main thing that we need to talk about, which is stigma around special needs. Back home, we know that when kids are born with a special need, they are sometimes referred to as Obanje.
By the way, maybe we should kind of give us a little bit. I don't know if I want to call it a definition or what is this, who is a special needs child? What
How you
how
define
do you
it.
define or categorize a child as a special needs child?
Most of the time, children who are they could be diagnosed with a developmental disorder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are just not typical kids.
Okay.
They would not
Yeah.
they will not achieve the developmental milestones
Right.
that normal
expected to.
kids are supposed to attain.
Okay.
And so you would say they are
Special needs.
special needs, or they are specially abled.
Specially able.
Yeah.
You have you're a special needs educator, right? Like, how did you get into that, right? Because I know you had a background of teaching back in Cameroon before you immigrated to Canada. So how did you find interest in special needs as a teacher?
So this is really interesting. When I left, so I was a high school geography teacher in Cameroon for 8 years before I immigrated to Canada. And when I came here with a plethora of things I could do, I wanted to get into nursing. And you know the charter that is here when
Everyone
you come,
wants
like
to-
nursing,
people try
special
to
works,
exactly.
Oh, Zita, there's no way you're gonna make it in teaching because you have an accent and all of that. And it actually took me months
Yeah.
to settle down on what I needed to do. I actually went into deep prayers.
Yeah.
And one day I just had this answer. When you think about these things you want to do, what gives you the least anxiety?
Right.
And that was the answer.
Yeah.
And I said it was teaching.
Yeah.
So I put together my documents, sent it to the Ministry of Education in Alberta,
Yeah.
and they said, okay, with your experience back home, we will still need you to do some upgrading
Yeah.
to be able to immerse yourself better in the Alberta system of education, which I'm so happy I did.
Oh, yeah.
So I went into U of C and did 1 year of the Bridge to Teaching program, where I met a lovely set of classmates. All of us were internationally trained
Yeah.
teachers, and we are still in communication today,
Yeah.
a wonderful group.
Oh, yeah.
So after that, I got hired by the Calgary Board of Education,
Mm-hmm.
and I was substitute teaching with the Calgary Board of Education. And there was this one school that I would substitute teach at for about 4 days a week. Like I was
Right.
the preferred sub.
Right.
If they needed a teacher, I was the first person they would call.
Yeah.
And I was the only person of color in the building.
Right.
So much so that every time when I'm coming through the door, the kids are like, Miss Tangwa, which class are you going to today? But every time a teaching position came out, I never got it.
Oh.
First year, I'm like, okay, I'm still learning. Let me put it
Yeah.
another year. Second year, same thing. And the teachers were not happy about it. And they said, go meet the principal and ask him, what does he need you to do so you can get a position in this school? Because you're doing a good job. If not,
Yeah.
we will
You're
not
not-
call you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. I went and met the principal, manned up, because, you know, we come from a system where it's we
Your
look
teammate.
up to hierarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we look
Like
up to them.
superior and
And
stuff like that.
there's the power
There's-
distance
yeah.
index is very
Yeah.
wide. So I went up to the principal and said, what do I need to do? I need to get a permanent job. And he said, oh, Zita, you're doing an awesome job. Just be patient. I'm like, okay, the black person has to be patient. So I was there for another year. And one day I was doing supervision still as a substitute teacher.
Right.
And this kid took an empty juice box and threw it on another student. And I'm like, why will you throw it on this student? Why don't you just put it in the garbage?
Yeah.
He picked it up and threw it again on that student and said,
Yeah.
that is the garbage. I'm like, okay, these are the students that will want to push your buttons. So I just kept going away from that scene just to de-escalate the situation
Right.
before returning to it. And then I turned around to see what he was doing. And then he was coming towards me. And then another student who was standing to my right, who did not witness what happened, told me that he just called you the N-word in Punjabi. I'm like, really? Did you just say that? He said, no, I didn't say it. He is the one that said it. I'm like, yes, he said it because he was reporting what you said to me.
Yeah.
And my idea was just to educate him on not to call people names.
Right.
Name calling really doesn't help us. And from a very young age, that is when these people start developing all these differences
Yeah.
and start putting tags on people. So I wanted to have that conversation with him, but he was not ready to even accept that, take
He's-
responsibility for
yeah.
what he did. So I went and reported this to the vice principal, and nothing was done.
Mm-hmm.
I got so angry because this student came back to class and he was like,
Yeah, nothing happened.
Nothing
of course.
happened.
Right.
So-
Yeah.
and I, too many things, like there was just a flood of emotions that came over me. I'm like, okay, so that's the reason why I can't get a job in this school, because I am the nigger.
What
And they
was-
don't want,
I was just going to ask you to elaborate a little bit on that. Usually, I mean, these are difficult conversations to have, right? I think so. But would you say that would I say the education system here, or is it just the kids are not sensitive enough or not educated enough on our differences, or is it kids being kids and using words that they know little or nothing about?
exactly. So I actually wanted to talk to him about it because he's just a child.
Mhm.
Right.
He must have heard it from somewhere,
Right.
from home or
From an
anywhere.
adult.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And he doesn't know the implications
Right.
of tagging people.
Yeah.
So that's why I wanted to have that conversation with him. But because he did not want to take responsibility,
Mhm.
it means he knew what he was doing.
Right.
It was very intentional.
And the school did not want to
And
hold that
him
student
responsible,
accountable
yeah,
for
what
you
he
offering,
said.
yeah, using
And
words like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And school policies is very clear.
Mhm.
He will have to be suspended.
Yeah.
Something
Had
had
to
to
Has
be
to be
done.
done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since nothing was done, I came and told the secretary, who was a very good friend of mine, the contract I had was for about 2 weeks. It was for a week. That was about 3 days into the week. And I told her, I'm not coming back here. I'm going to write an email the next day to explain why I'm not coming back here. And I will make sure that this goes out, that people know what is happening here.
Yeah.
Before I reached my house, the principal was on phone. Please, come, let's talk about this. We didn't mean it to be this way. Oh, I am very sorry. So I came back home, talked to my husband, the gentle husband that I have. And he said, it's okay. For the sake of integrity, since you already accepted to do the job, just go back there and finish up. So I went back, had a conversation with the principal. They were all very apologetic. I was very upfront with them. I'm like, you're only calling me now because I said I was going to take this out. You failed to do your responsibilities as leaders here, and that sent a very strong message to me. I only came back because I'm a person of integrity, but when I finish this, I am not going to step my foot here again. And I finished my 2 days and I left. It was about February when there's a teachers convention, and I actually went downtown for the teachers convention to talk to the CBE rep and ask him what he has in store for substitute teachers, because you can't just be teaching as a substitute teacher without any plan.
You need to.
Right.
If somebody really doesn't take interest in what you're doing and there's no vacancy, there's no room for growth.
Right.
And most of us are immigrants. It would take us time to build that network and all of that. So when I went downtown and I didn't see that guy, on my way out, I saw the Catholic board booth. I'm like, okay, let me just go there and still talk to this guy. So I went and met the guy who was running for ATA presidency, and I had a chat with him. And he said, I explained that I don't know why I'm not teaching with the Catholic board. I am a Catholic. I applied after school. I was never even called up for an interview. I am a Catholic. Why will I not have that opportunity being a Catholic? So he said, that is the chief superintendent. You can go talk to him. I'm like, not again. Chief superintendent? How am I going to? He's a very simple guy. Go meet him. So I went and met Gary, lovely guy. We had a chat and he said, you can apply again. And that is how I got my job in the Catholic board. But it was I started as a substitute teacher for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, I got a contract. And that was in May. So I taught May and June in mainstream grade 6. Then, because it's in June that they start hiring teachers for the next year. And this job came out. The principal at the school where I was teaching took a lot of interest in me, and she wanted to keep me there, but it was only part-time. So she told me, if you have a full-time position, I won't keep you, but I want to tell you I'm very impressed with your work and I would like to keep you here. So this job came up in a special needs classroom, and it was very tough for me because although I have been working at Scope with adults with mental and developmental disabilities, I was going into a whole new sector of education. So I called my sister, your brother's wife, and I'm like, I am in a dilemma again. What do I do? And she said, you have been praying so hard to get a job. If this is what God wants for you, he's going to equip you. So take it. And that's how I got into special needs, and it has been life-changing.
From your book, I understand that, like most of us growing back home, we've at least had some experience with kids who now we know were special needs, but kids who the community believed to be cursed or bewitched. Or do you want to talk a little bit about your experience? Because I know there's part of your book where you kind of talk about a little story there. Could you want to share that with us?
So the story that is in my book is about my childhood friend. We called him Mumu because he was hard of hearing and he couldn't. I get so emotional about this. So because of his, and it's sad that he was addressed by his disability. And that is what is very common with us back home. And I wouldn't actually apportion blame to people. How much did we know at the time?
Right.
How much did we know? So my childhood friend was called Momo. His name was Che, but we called him Momo growing up. And he was very good at bamboo work growing up. So he would always make these beautiful bamboo cars, and we actually included him in everything that we did, despite the fact that he could not talk. We actually included him, and we knew that he was very particular about his stuff. If something is his, let him share it with you. Don't just come
get
to
it.
it, because he will become very defensive. So one day we were playing in the field, and one of our friends from a whole different neighborhood came in and was so carried away with how beautiful the bamboo car was, and went to look at it, and he just lost it. He thought the other kid was trying to steal his toy.
Yeah.
And so he attacked this child, and his mom came and took him away from the field because it was really bad. Like, I still picture that scene. So his mom took him away, and he had very serious consequences because of his actions. And today I'm asking myself, yes, his mom made him pay for what he did, but how much did she know, and how much did he know?
Right.
How much help did he have based on his condition to help him live a better life?
Yeah.
So that takes me to stigmatization around special needs kids.
Yep.
We know that if you have special needs, even twins before were considered abnormal.
Yeah.
Multiple births
yeah.
were considered abnormal
Right.
until lately that they actually changed it, that if you have a twin birth, it's actually something of royalty, and your
Yeah.
parents were given a special title based on that, and their traditional ceremonies and all of that. So with special needs, we still need to come to that place where we will identify our kids' strengths and know that it's by no fault of theirs that they are the way they are, and help them to live to the best of their potential. So we need to come out of that place where we stigmatize them and think that they are no use to society. Like, just doing that is taking out one person from the 7 billion people on earth, taking them away from being a contributing factor to society.
Right.
So that's we need to go over that stigmatization piece in order to help them live a fulfilled life, and help the parents to be accepting of their kids, because that too is huge.
That's a big one. Do you feel like progress has been made in terms of the stigma around children with special needs? And like, I share your experience, it was terrible. Like, you could tell the people were addressed by their disability before their personhood, right? Like, someone is known as Momo, you address them by being deaf. So the totality of them is defined by their deafness or their lack of ability to speak. Do you feel, or are you optimistic that it has gotten better over time?
It's something that is very, it's going to be very slow.
Yeah.
It is not like it used to be before. Like, before, those kids will be put by the river for the
Exactly,
river gods
yeah.
to take them away.
Yeah.
So we have moved away from that place. We are more accepting of them. Very few of them are locked up in the houses. They can come out, but there's still that distance. People still don't relate with them normally. And my goal is just telling people, oh, you have to accept special needs people. It's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
We have to be able to make people see, because when people see, they believe more. Once you empower these kids, once you empower people with special needs, and they can do things for themselves.
Right.
And when I tell people, Elon Musk is autistic.
Yeah.
And look at what he's doing. He's a billionaire.
High functioning autistic guy.
Yeah.
He's smart. That guy is crazy smart.
He is autistic. What do we do with our own autistic kids?
Yeah.
I think for those back home, is it just the lack of facilities? Is it the lack of knowledge? Is it that government doesn't necessarily pay attention to the needs and the needs of people who are different? Because here I know that here there's everything. There's the doctors, there's rehabilitation centers, there's
At least
medication.
There's considerable amount of support here
considerable-
than there
exactly.
is from where we came from. You
Yeah,
think?
that's, you have brilliantly put it. But there's one thing that I want to highlight. These resources are there, but are
Right.
they using it?
Yeah.
I mean, here,
Yeah.
even here,
Even yeah.
even here, there is still that stigmatization.
Yeah. Oh,
Even
there
here.
is. Oh,
Yes, the parents are still in denial. Parents still don't want to take their kids to go get diagnoses, to go get the help the kids need. Why? Still because of the stigma. So, I'm talking about back home. Yes, we know how our governments are. They pay no attention to this sector of the population,
Yeah.
or even any other sector, to say the least.
Right.
And so it rests on us now to make a turnaround, to like make a change in this. We like, I am big on, we should not just sit back and say, what is the government doing for us? What are we
What are you doing for yourself?
doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing to help other people? So and that is what led me to the other part of
which is part of the conversation that we're going to have as we go down the line, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you wrote the book, you published a book. How do you think the public received the book that you published?
I think it was very enthusiastic because of the niche I chose.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that has been written about special needs. It's just like a taboo topic that people want to avoid.
Right.
So taking that bold step to get into it, it was challenging, but the response has been very, very impressive, especially when I added what I am doing with this book. It's not just writing a book and throwing out there. There's something that I'm doing with the proceeds that are coming.
Book, right.
So that too has been a very big push behind my sales. And I would say I think I never thought that I'll be able to sell 500 copies, but I'm at that level now.
That's good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a lot of work. You're doing well.
Yeah.
I know you kind of touched on this a little bit when we started. Looking at the book, it says it's the ultimate solution for moms with special needs kids. I'm sure you're not saying that there are no fathers who are involved in raising special needs kids. So what message would you be passing across to fathers, or what do you tell someone who picks up?
Are you going to write another book for fathers?
Me, right?
So like I said, this story was about my niece. And because of the challenges my sister faced, not to say her husband was not in the picture, he was very much in the picture, but she's my sister, and I knew firsthand what she endured. And being a special needs educator, I am more in touch with the moms of my kids, and I'm like, where are the dads? So that is what actually pushed me to write more about the moms, because they are there most of the time for their kids. And it's more about like the job of raising the child is more of a mom's job.
Yeah, it's a nurturing job.
If you empower, if you give mom the skills to raise the child, of course they are going to do a wonderful job. So this is just trying to make the work easier for the moms, because they are there to raise. They have a bigger responsibility, or they spend more time with raising kids.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. So what message are you passing across to the dad?
He's very persistent.
that is
you have to say something to the dad.
What message are you passing across to the dad? Are you saying you guys need to be a little bit more supportive? Are you saying that you are not doing enough? You need to do more? What message are you passing across?
This doesn't mean that there are not single dads who have special needs.
That
kids,
is
right?
where I'm heading to.
Yeah. So in that role, they will be playing the role of a mom. Though they are dads, they will be playing a mom role. So these two will work well for them. And to dads who have wives that are taking care of these kids, is just to be very, very supportive. If read the book and employ the strategies. Don't leave it only to the mom. If you have to come up with a schedule for the child, both of you sit and work it around your own schedule, so that everybody has a hand in raising the child.
Yeah. So from what I read, I see the content of the book is simple, and it's the solutions or the suggestions are practical enough that anyone who is in that place could
pick it up,
pick it up and kind of implement some of the strategies that you suggested, which definitely we are going to get into some of those strategies as we go down the line, right?
So I think it's time to get a little bit about the book, get into the book. You had 10 chapters. That's it's not a big book to read, but you kind of came out with these chapters. And one thing I like, and Ason already alluded to that earlier, it is simple and it's practical. It is practical, and it's not like you're writing from a place of a specialist or whatever. You're coming out from the experiences of the mom, which I
Which is
find,
a
which
whole-
was very important for me, right? Like, what do moms need to do, and to work with kids with special needs. So, can you speak on how you structure the chapters so that it's legible, so that it flows nicely, so that moms can get the best value from your book?
Okay. So I'm going to do that very briefly because those who have read the book, like
And you want people to read the book
yeah.
too.
So I don't spoil
No,
it,
without
Yeah.
without
Without
giving
giving
not
too much.
spoiling it
Yeah.
for those who
Without
haven't
giving too
read
much.
it.
Yeah.
When I was coming here, I was actually thinking about this interview, and I thought of something that I'm going to approach it from a very different perspective.
Yeah.
I am going to veer away from this book
Yeah.
because it's there. It's
Right.
out there on Amazon.
Right.
It's on Kindle. People can grab copies. But I am going to talk about how this book has changed me as a person.
Right.
How I have used this book to unwrap me as a gift.
Yeah.
So after I wrote this book, I said I still felt that need to go in for more. And I kept telling myself, when I get into those times, I know there's something, because I believe in a superior power. And I know this superior power directs me. And whenever I go into those periods where I'm like in a block, I know
Yeah.
that there is a new door that has to open. So when I wrote this book, I started thinking about me. I started thinking about Zita as an entity. And I was looking at me as my mind and my body. I am 43 years old. And how my life is a gift to me.
Yeah.
And how have I unwrapped this gift for the past 43 years?
Yeah.
And it was very intense. And it got me thinking about a lot of things. So I decided that I looked back and I'm like, I could do better. But I am not going to curse the darkness. I'm going to light a candle. I'm going to make a conscious, deliberate effort to become a better version of myself, to give more of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I did was to, first of all, be mindful, because I realized that I am someone who is more reactive than responsive to situations. And I started asking myself what I needed to do to be more responsive instead of reactive, because that was my biggest thing that I needed to work on. And that took me to the point where I had to start thinking about moving away, dissociating my body from my mind. So my body is no longer in control. My mind is in control, and I can actually see things the way they are and adjust them. And that brought me to this Buddhist monk, Dandapani, that I follow. And I have been following him for 1 year now. And I think I have made a lot of personal progress, personal growth.
Yeah.
And I'm getting to where I think I should be.
Right.
So the first thing Dandapani said was, you have to learn to concentrate. I'm like, how do you concentrate? And he said there are 3 things you need to do when you want to concentrate. First of all, when you start one thing, you finish it. I do that all the time. When I start cooking my achu, I don't leave it halfway. He said, no. If you sleep on a bed, for instance, and you get up, you need to make up your bed. I'm like, how did you know? So that's where I started.
Right.
I get up. It's a point of duty. I make up my bed.
Yeah.
I use a plate. I wash it. I drink from a cup. I wash it. Just very little subtle
things.
things.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I do it every day, and I come back from school into my bedroom with a bed well made, I have that dopamine rush.
Right. Yeah.
And it keeps me, it motivates me to keep going.
Yeah.
The second thing is, do it to the best of your abilities. And I'll make my bed very well, tuck in the sheets, puff the pillows and put them up, and think if I need more pillows. And then the third thing, the third and the last thing is, do it beyond what you think you can do.
Right.
So when I make my bed, I don't just throw the blanket over my sheets. I actually make it like we do in lots, and pull back the bedspread and put it V-shaped and all of that. So those little things, that little thing that I started with, that is where I started building my concentration skills, being mindful.
Yeah.
The next thing I started doing to be more mindful was the 3 policies that I follow. I have to do 1, things that make me have, I have to make choices that make me have a joyful and energetic body. I have to do things that make me have a kind and compassionate heart. I have to do things that make me have a clear and creative mind, and all of that culminate into lightness of being.
Yeah.
So, how do I do that? So, in order to have a joyful and energetic body, I exercise daily.
Right.
Every day in the morning, when I get up, I exercise for 30 minutes. And just doing the exercise, I have those endorphins that go in my system. And I start off my day on a very joyful mode, upbeat. And that just sets the pace for the rest of the day. The other thing that I do is meditation.
Yeah.
I do meditate every morning. When I get up, I meditate. I follow Dandapani's meditation. I meditate for 30 minutes. And so every day I'm up at 5:45, and I make sure I have enough rest. At 10 o'clock, I'm off to bed. We already know that at home. At 10 o'clock, I am off. I'm out. I go to my bed at 9:45. I do my accountability for the day. What did I do that was good? What did I do? What do I need to work on?
Yeah.
And then I go to sleep. Then 5:45, sometimes my alarm doesn't even wake me up because my body is already knows by that
The
time.
boarding school brain.
Yeah. By that time, I am already moving around on my bed before the alarm goes off. I'm up at 5:45. My alarm, I never snooze. When my alarm goes up, it's 1, 2, 3. I'm out of bed. I go and do my 30 minutes meditation. I do my 30 minutes exercise, and then I start getting ready for school. So by the time I am driving to school at 7:30, I have already done personal work for 2 hours. And so that just sets the pace for the day, and it keeps me very motivated. And you ask me, why is meditation important? Because it just gives me an opportunity to be with myself. And when I started it, I got so disappointed because it is not the 30 minutes of meditation that matters. It is what you do for the rest of the 23 hours and 30 minutes of your day that actually make the meditation meaningful. So it helped me to be mindful. Like, okay, I would say at the end of the day, I would do my accountability. When this child was agitated in class, was I kind and compassionate? Did I do something that will make me joyful and energetic? Did I put a smile on someone else's face? Did I have a clear mind? And physiologically, the more you give, the more you receive. You know, when you're not in that fight or flight mode, your parasympathetic memory or part of your brain takes over, and so you become very, very creative, and then you can function to the best of your capabilities, because we are only using a very small percentage of our brains, because we are very limiting. But once you make that dissociation from letting go of your mind of your body to be in control, working on autopilot, then you can now sit back and look at your life. Like, you're not just your face is not just a mask, and there's an existence behind it. You're actually being in control. You are seeing you for who you are. You're seeing situations for what they are, and then because your prefrontal cortex you are in the relaxed mode, your prefrontal cortex is active, then you can give the best solutions to problems. Am I there yet?
No. I don't think anybody is there yet.
Am I giving up? I'm holding on for dear life.
I don't think parents with special needs kids unfortunately do not have, I wouldn't call it the luxury, but do not have, because of everything that's going on in their lives, don't have the possibility to be in a place where they could, go through all the steps and that you've mentioned. I just wanted to inquire if there were any easier ways. That is really complicated. That's very complex, and it takes a lot of work to get to that place. for a mom who has a special needs child and who is, trying to get things in order? What ways would an ordinary mom down the street, self-care or take care of herself to be able to care for a special needs child? Do you have any recommendations from your book? Simple, not
giving away too much.
Not the,
There is like a lot of the things that I've said are in my book.
Yeah.
There is meditation, there is journaling, there is exercise. And I will emphasize on these three because when you're actually writing, like I'm a very tactile person.
Yeah.
So when I'm writing, I wrote this book out in pen before typing it out because I just have a very particular relationship with my pen and my paper. So when you are writing or keeping a journal, it actually gives you the opportunity to look out for things to write.
Yeah.
So it will keep you present. You will not be on autopilot. You will be in control. Yeah. So keeping a journal is something when your kid goes to bed at night, you can we also have a speech to text that you can just say something out and then it's recorded. And this is very important because on those very difficult days, you can go back to your journal and look at experiences where you thought there were life or death situations, but you survived them.
Right.
And then this will just be like an encouragement that I will go through this as well.
Yeah.
So it's very important. I would advise that they do journaling on a daily basis.
Yeah.
I will also advise that they do meditations in the morning. You don't have to do it I started with 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So just being mindful, just deep breathing from your diaphragm. It just pumps in a lot more oxygen into your system and it goes to your brain and it calms you down. It has a natural calming effect.
Yeah.
So just doing deep breathing for 5 minutes, it's very helpful. And especially when you are walked up, when you are like, this is the end of the road. Stuff, you just do a deep breath. Like I have an alarm on my clock every 2 hours. My phone alarms just says, "Hey Queen, what are you doing? Breathe." And then I do a deep breath every 2 hours.
Yeah.
So they can do that and it helps with calming you down.
Right.
Because I will tell you, it is a stressful situation.
It is. Yeah.
But if you do not have the ability to be in control, to have the reins in your hand, there's no way you're going to ride it.
Yeah.
And how do you have the reins? How do you get in control? By doing these things that will calm you and keep you in the moment.
So again, it's always an up and a down. There are good days, there are bad days, right?
It's a roller coaster.
You can't say at any point that you know enough. When you have a special, it's ongoing learning process. That's what I'm hearing.
And the most important thing is why you have to be in the moment is that you can recognize trends.
Yeah.
Like if you see, my students are autistic, so there was one that was not in school, and when I went back, they said one of my students was taken to the principal, and I said, "Is it because of this?" And my EA was like, "How do you know?" I said, "I know them like the back of my hand because I look out for it.
Yeah.
I want to know them so that I can pick out trends. I can pick up new behavior and I can be able to come up with strategies to help them regulate, because there's a lot of issues about regulation, behavior regulation. That's one of the biggest issues that they have. But the moment you identify a trend, you can be able to come up with strategies to help them unlearn. They say about Dr. Joe Dispenza is one of the neurologists that I follow. He says neurons that wire together, that fire together, wire together.
Yep.
So the more they learn a behavior, the more they strengthen those neural connections. So you have to catch it very quickly before they get strengthened. And then you teach a new behavior to replace that behavior. So the new behavior now starts getting new connections, while the other one, there's atrophy in the other ones. So
a lot of your recommendation, it's, to the mom, and that's very important. It may sound selfish, but by the time you feel re-energized, you feel, up to the task, people around you benefit. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. Like a happy wife makes a happy home.
You never hear the other way around.
So, and you can tell, get your wife a bouquet of flowers and see what happens.
Yeah.
So once she is settled and she is in control, every other thing falls in place. But once she's unstable, who suffers most? This kid
The
who has
kids
a
too,
special
right?
need,
Yeah.
who needs that support from the parents.
Right.
So it's because moms are very pivotal. They're like the linchpin in the home.
Yeah.
So once they're not there, the everything just falls apart.
Yeah.
So it's very important for her as that linchpin to be in control, so that every other person within the system benefits from it.
Can a mom or dad or can they do this on their own? Could you talk a little bit about the importance of having a solid support system to be able to cope with the needs of raising a child with special needs?
That is one of the most important things I would like to speak to.
Because I remember you mentioned something in your book, and it was you look back and you felt you didn't do enough.
Yeah. Exactly. So like when my sister had this, when my niece was growing up with Down syndrome, we did give her help, but I don't think we did enough. And it's not like I'm not guilty about it.
Yeah.
I am doing something now to immortalize my niece's memory, and help other people to live a better life with their kids with special needs. So it's very important for the community, like I said before, to be more accepting of these kids with special needs, because that is one thing off the mom's plate to take care of. Just go help them with groceries.
Right, yeah.
Go take the kid to the playground and give them some respite.
Right.
Buy groceries and come give them and save them a trip to the grocery store.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things as a community we can do, but it has to come from a place where these people are also receptive to these things. And if they're not accepting of the child's situation, then there's no
likely unwilling to accept the support that
they wouldn't take it like it's coming from a good place. So as a community, we still have to push it. We have to show them that love. We have to show them that we can be of help to you and to your child, so that as a community we can benefit from that gift, because these kids are really
and making
gifts.
sure we do so without passing judgment or without coming across as being judgmental, right? Because that is a big reason why people are unwilling to accept support, because you give support and you judge them while you offer them support, right?
It's really sad. And I wouldn't say someone who is doing that judgment is not necessarily doing it from a place of malice. How much do they know? That's why it's important for us to keep pushing this information out. Do it from a place of good. There are times that you even do things from a good place and people don't take it right. So just do good and screw whatever another person has to say. Just do you.
You have a lot going on. You have an NGO. Can you speak a little bit to the NGO that you have back home and what you're doing for these kids?
Okay. I do not have an NGO back home.
Oh, sorry.
We have a not-for-profit that is based here in Calgary.
Oh, so, is it Calgary?
Yeah. When I wrote my book, like I said, I still got this push from that greater force that is saying you need to do more. And I'm like, what do I need to do? And I got this very clear message, the breakfast program. I'm like, how am I going to provide breakfast to 25 kids with my income? So one day I just got another message, your book. So I decided that all the money, not the proceeds, all the money that is coming from the sale of my book is going to fund this breakfast program. So since January, these kids at the Our Lady of Consolation Special Needs Center in Bambili have been having breakfast on a daily basis from my book.
Wow.
That is the most fulfilling thing I have ever done in my life.
I bet,
Yeah, and recently, if you saw, I pushed out a video. 2 of those students will be graduating at the end of June. And they need like funds for a startup. They have learned how to make beads and to embroider. And I am out soliciting for funds for people to help these kids, because that is the point. Once one student graduates from this school and is running her own business, how are you going to stigmatize someone with a special needs when they're actually living a fulfilled life? So that's my focus. So I'm very elated that these kids will be graduating. And guess what? I have already raised $1,500
Wow.
for this. We're only needing about $1,000,
Yeah.
but we have raised past that only
Wow.
3 days that I put out the video. These kids have a lot of needs. If you're thinking of donating, don't think this is the end.
Yeah.
So these kids have a lot of needs. They need physiotherapy. They need a speech therapist. They need a means of transportation, because these are special needs kids who have to trek for long distances to get to this center. And a lot of them there are only 21 kids drawn from all the villages in Tuba subdivision.
Right.
And I know only in Bambili we have more than 21
yeah.
special needs kids. So if they do have a means of transportation, many more of these kids will come out of the closet and where they have been locked up in and learn a trade and live a fulfilled life.
Yeah.
That is my dream.
Wow. We're going to talk how people can get your book, but if you have to say something to Lydia, who's watching down now, what will you say to Lydia? You can take your time.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
I didn't see that coming. Okay, so I know that Lydia is watching down.
You can take your time.
So I know that she's watching down. I know that she's with grandma. So I know that Lydia is watching me down. I know that she's with grandma. And I know that she's the one that has been giving me all the direction. She has been giving me all the direction on what I need to do. I count myself very privileged.
Yeah.
And I just pray for the strength to continue touching the lives of special needs kids.
Yeah. We can tell that was very emotional, and we really appreciate you being very vulnerable to express that moment, and you can take whatever time you need. But if people want to get your book, where can they go?
Oh, thank you. So I do have hard copies here with me. If you need it, just send me a message, and I can deliver copies. I can deliver copies. It's also on Amazon. You just type in my name, Zita Tangwa Ndieshe, and the book is gonna pop up. And please, if you're buying this book, think about the course behind it. Think about the lives that you're going to change by having a copy of this book. Buy it and give it to everyone, because it's not only that there's strategies in here that will work well for young parents too. If you have a couple that just got married and are looking into getting kids, give them a copy of this book. There are a lot of strategies there that will help them, because when I was writing the book, I tapped into my mom instincts too. I have 3 kids of my own. My oldest is 21. So I tapped into my mom instincts, and there's a lot there that can help other moms. And just make sure you are contributing towards the cause to change the lives of special needs kids.
Zita Tangwa Ndieshe, We are very appreciative for you coming here and taking time off your busy schedule to be with us. We appreciate the conversation. It was fun. It was entertaining.
Fun.
It
was serious.
Educative.
It had to be,
emotional
right?
too. And we enjoy these raw moments, right? Because these are the feelings that people feel. So we are very happy that you were vulnerable enough to share that with us. For our viewers out there, please like, subscribe, share, and click the notification buttons. It helps us out with the algorithms. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.